As I said before, my name is Amal Kassir. My name is Hope in Arabic. And I have a few poems today. They're all in the writing, so I'm sure you can tell that they're not completely finalized, but it's the process of me as a young Muslim, American, Syrian woman trying to understand ISIS. It's a big conversation, right? Because that's the one thing I get asked about more than anything. Like, okay, you're saying your religion is great and peaceful and everything. Well, what about ISIS? Look at Syria, look at ISIS, the biggest threat in the world. And so as a young Muslim American educated woman, I had to think, how can we conceptualize Daesh? These people with such a catchy acronym that the American television and the Arabic television know them, right? That it's so popular, and these men are followed probably as much as Donald Trump on Twitter. And so this is kind of that process. And my degree, what I studied in at school, it was this. It was the psychology of the criminal. It was how to design programs to help people like this. And for those who aren't Muslim, and for maybe the Muslims who have forgotten, one of the biggest responsibilities in our religion is to take care of the orphans. That's the number one. If we do not take care of the orphans, who will raise them when there is no heaven under their mother's feet? Well, let's get this going. So first off, I think that maybe everyone in the world who has a television knows the words Allahu Akbar, right? At our fundraiser, he just presented these words as well. And guys, if you wouldn't mind, it's already an empty room, so please keep your voices low. So, this popular word, Allahu Akbar, I'll tell you about when I learned about it. Sorry, I'm bearing with everybody. Shall I wait for everybody to get dessert? Yeah? Hopefully the poetry can be your dessert. It is a little violent though. Mama and Baba taught us to say Allahu Akbar when we saw the glorious mile-high sunsets. They said to say Allahu Akbar when we saw the billions of stars in the blackness of the sky, when we saw something so beautiful and so great that all we could do was praise the one who made it. That's what Allahu Akbar was. But these boys, they only say Allahu Akbar when they kill. All I ever hear them say is how great they think God is, but even God doesn't attribute Akbar to himself as often as he does Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, the most gracious and most merciful. But these men, they never say Bismillah Rahman Rahim when they massacre. Do they think their murder is sacrifice like Abraham alayhi salam, like what he was asked to do? Didn't they hear the part of the story before the knife? When the prophet asked his son, and so the son insisted his father struggle for the sake of God? And only after Abraham spoke with his son did he prepare to do the unimaginable sacrifice, a man who struggled to have a son in the first place. So Ibrahim put the blade to his own child's neck. And clearly the gang members heard that part of the story, but did they not hear the rest? Did they not hear that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saw what this man was willing to do for his sake, before even 1 atom's ounce of blood spilled, the son was now a lamb, a ram, an animal to slaughter, not a person anymore. And Allah replaced the son of Abraham with an animal. And that's why the tradition of slaughter exists. We don't just say Allahu Akbar when we take the life of an animal. We say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Where did these boys get the idea of putting knives to people they've never even met? Ibrahim was not in a war with anyone except for himself. And these boys are acting like Abraham was wielding a machete, that he had declared a war on his son, but none of that was in the story. I don't know who these boys' sources are, But all I know is whoever's updating the Twitter account probably has a good idea. Right? Jazakallah khair. Wow, was that clapping revolution? Let me hear you clap, please. For my sake, my pride. I think sometimes my parents forget how much they taught me and how much us young people actually absorb the things they tell us. The story of Ibrahim, I never tied that to the knives of ISIS. Because young Muslim people, when they hear about this, they see these men as foreigners with black bags on their head, not as brothers, part of the ummah. This is a story about orphans. And I want to make it clear, when I emailed myself this off my phone, I said, FBI, don't worry, ISIS is bad. Straight up, I'm not even kidding, just in case, these are trigger words. But in my research, I have found one common thing when studying terrorism. And this is across the board, all the scholarly journals, everything. When they talk about ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, all of these terrorist organizations, they always draw information from gangs, from mafias, from organized crime bases. And the reason for that is because what happens when young people are hungry and in poverty, more likely than not, the guns are going to be their best bet to feed themselves. Does the black flag not show that these boys have never seen the color green before? That their eyes are closed, that their prayer rugs are just black blindfolds they wrap around their heads? It's like their archangel is an army tank that they will probably end up selling on the black market anyways. Does the way that these men speak to each other not tell you that their eardrums broke after the 2003 invasion? That they just keep shouting the same word over and over again, screaming Allahu Akbar at the ground, at the skies, at the cameraman, like it's the only phrase they even know. Like you wonder if they even speak any other language than killing it all. They don't know how to speak in inside voices because there was no inside for them to go. Wars always, always, always destroy mothers, destroy homes, kill mothers, bomb schools and bakeries, all of them, no matter what the justification. So what happens to all the people who survive? To all the orphans? They end up as one of two things: child brides or gang recruits. A little Muslim girl getting married at the age of 13 should not anger you more than a little Muslim boy being handed a gun after his school was bombed. These men that are terrorists, they were once boys who never learned to speak. They were Tuyur al-Jannah a long time ago, but they went feral in the streets after becoming orphans. Of course they think God and guns have something to do with each other. Every time they heard the adhan, there was an explosion. So like Pavlov's dog, war was the stimulus that conditioned them. So of course they think God loves killing. These boys got used to covering their ears from the bombs, so they didn't listen when the elderly Syrian woman told them to fear God. How could these boys with broken eardrums hear Allah introduce himself in the Quran as the most gracious and most merciful? These boys never learned mercy because the only one who showed it to them gave them bread and insisted they take a gun too. These boys blindfold themselves. They think there is no remnant of heaven on this earth, that they must fashion their own version, but their fingers are machetes, and their rib cages have rust like the Guantanamo jail cells their fathers died in. So of course these boys will accept anything as miracles. When their cities went black, the white letters on those flags were the only things they could see. When the closest thing to the full moon in the desert was the white letters on this black flag, these boys did not care what was even written on it. They were just amazed that they could see something. How can an illiterate boy know that the men with beards teaching them religion are just reading war declarations they translated on their cell phones? This religion is a personal fable, And it changes as often as fatwas come out on Twitter. These boys think Twitter is like an animal, like the animal that took Rasulullah to the heavens, but they don't know about the 15,000 doves that get tweeted to paradise every day. They never learned how to pray. So everyone prayed in different directions towards each other, like fools, worshiping men and saying that he's a God worth killing for. All they smelled was smoke, and all they ate was airstrikes, and all they listened to was shrapnel-warned raindrops. So they learned to clap between the thunder to figure out how close till their stomachs roared to. These boys were raised by war. The television calls it Islamic terrorism, like terrorism was the thing that got recruited by the religion. But in a city with no mothers and only a war, who taught these kids religion in the first place? This isn't Islamic terrorism. This is terrorism's Islam. And only a religion like this could have come out of a violence like that. Thank you. Now, this is an obvious reason. Now, by no means is this poem an excuse. By no means. Because you see the videos of Muslim women, like old, elderly khaltos who are like wearing shahata on their feet, telling these men, like, fear your Lord, fear your Lord. And these men are saying they're killing for a Lord. What Lord, sir? Because word on the street is if you call yourself a Muslim, aren't we all supposed to be practicing the same thing? Why is 95% of the people who've been killed by these gang members, why are 95% Muslim? Now, on another note, recently a file came out, a report officially published that ISIS had purchased over, I think it was $2.3 million or something worth of American weapons on the black market in Jordan. Look at all those colors, red, white, blue, black. Like it's business, it's business, that's it. These men are all about the business. Now, my family, we came from the gardens. My family, we were farmers. And when Tete and Jiddo got married, when my grandmother and grandfather got married, it wasn't like the stereotype that the television says. The Muslim woman, she's the one who picks the dowry, right? And Jiddo, when Tete finally accepted him and he took the dowry that she had determined, Jiddo got a farm that belonged to my grandmother. And my Jiddo spent his whole life working on a farm that didn't even belong to him. Belonged to his wife. And in the word of the patriarchy, the matriarchy, there's a lot of talk about how, like, oh, the Arabs, they don't treat their women well. Now, I ain't saying much. Jiddo brought home the dough. Who do you think made the bread? I've learned that the patriarch is a word that these feminists use all the time. The word, the patriarch, comes from father. And I learned with my grandparents in Syria, in a place where the pomegranates, I swear, were sourced from Jannah. I learned that the patriarch and the matriarch, they work together. The patriarch, that's the gun that Jiddo kept right outside the door so that if the foxes came, he could kill them before they got to the chicken coop. The matriarch, that's when Tete made Jiddo wipe his shoes off the rug and put the gun away before he even could come inside and eat her food. And it was like Jannah. And there's a reason why they say that heaven is under your mother's feet and that woman is half your deen. So it makes sense that these boys would try to wrap their women and the Jannah under these people's feet with glass ceilings and black sheets, right? But Tete, she was a revolutionary, my friends. Let me get this. I lost the mic stand, it's okay. My grandmother always had dinner on the table. Even when the tyrant put checkpoints outside her door, her defiance made mealtimes a battle. Her family would always win. As long as she could keep chopping, she would get that tabbouleh to the table fresh. Because families sit together to eat. They don't await the funeral prayer. So she would send my cousins down the stairs to get her parsley, and they ate like kings amidst a war zone. Recipes the tyrants have never tasted. My grandmother knows Syria better than anyone. It is the arthritis living in her knees. She had a farm whose dust she knew by name. She knew the day the peaches would be ripe and how sour a lemon was based on the rain. My grandmother spoke the language of the land that fed her. She housed families on her farm that would help till the soil, their hands colored with dirt, her hands bruised from hollowing out all that kusa. And they built Surya with a prayer, with a meal, blistered hands, and enough food to feed the neighbors. You see, the falah, the farmer, is the one who knows his country best. It is him to take the first bullets, and it is him to stay behind. He knows what Syria needs when she is thirsty, knows what she will do to his body when he is buried. A farmer knows what his grave will smell like. And when the war started, even the rivers ran away. For the hands of a militant are not like the hands of a farmer. Bullet and earth cannot speak to each other, and blood will never, ever make the crops grow. And so Syria stopped growing. She spent her time counting bodies. It is hard to trust the footsteps when everyone is running. When the bombs disguise themselves as clouds. When militants talk dirty about a country whose parsley they have never even tasted. Only a farmer will convince this soil to grow again. He is water in time of drought. His street dialect is the language the dirt prays in. And when he cooks for all those starving people, he is using my grandmother's recipes. They cut down every single tree in my grandmother's farm. They rip the pomegranate from the earth, and the lemons don't grow there anymore. And the Syrian people wonder, does the tyrant not remember who fed him? My grandmother has sworn that she will write down every single recipe when this war is over, because she knows what Syria needs. We all know what every single one of our countries need, so we will rebuild them with a prayer, with hands, a meal, and enough food to feed each and every one of the neighbors. And the tyrants, the militants, the warlords, the terrorists, just like the rest of us, they will learn their graves, I promise. They will feel the weight of the entire country on their chests, I promise. And when the soil asks them, did you not spill blood in my name? Then why do you fear me so? Let the earth give your body back to me, President. And Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, he's not going to know how to respond. He doesn't speak the language of his country. He will struggle against the dirt that fed him. Hey. يا بشار يا كذاب وتضرب أنت وهالخطاب الحرية دقت على الباب يلا ارحل يا بشار يا كذاب وتضرب أنت وهالخطاب الحرية صارت على الباب يلا ارحل يا بشار. That for the definition. Bashar, you liar, like تضرب. How do you translate تضرب بالإنجليزي? Like تضرب, like get out of here, like they're not afraid. I talked to my aunt Basima on the phone, subhanAllah. Straight up, she's like, تضرب Bashar. Like, what do we have to be afraid of? At this point, all we have is God, and I can assure you, God is mightier than that man's guns, right? Takbir. Let's see here. How much time do I have? No more time? All right. Well, everybody, jazakallah khair for having me. I can go on for hours if I have to, but I want you to know I have a book coming out. And I've been working very, very hard on it, trying to figure out how I believe in my Rabb, my Lord, and what to do with all this information. You know, and I think it helps the older generation understand us, and I think it helps us understand one another. So buy my book, inshallah. Proceed all goes to helping young Syrian children read. That's what the proceeds go to. And if we let that die, you guarantee, let's get more black flags. We might as well, right? If we don't take care of our orphans, I guarantee you the world's going to keep going the way it is. And if man's hand, before I leave, one note, if man's hand can devastate Syria like this, can you imagine what these hands must be able to do that is good? There is no excuse. Man's hand did this. Man's hands can change it. So you value your hands. And thank you all so much for listening. Jazakallah khair to this organization. You guys are amazing. Give the loudest round of applause for the Syrian Forum. I'll make you keep going if you don't. Louder, louder, louder. Jazakallah khair.